Okay, y'all. I mean, I'm 266 dashes into my door dashing um gig, and I'm still being amazed every day. Uh Never a dull moment with DoorDash. So I got a little bit of complaint to do in regards to some establishments. And y'all know over here we don't mind calling people out specifically. I'm going to be dropping, addresses and everything because once again, I need to put everybody on notice, honey. Honey, put the darn gone folks on notice, honey. So first one is Crown's Fried Chicken. Everybody's favorite ghetto black chicken joint in the hood. I support my black, entrepreneurs. It's owned by a black man. However, I tell y'all this: just because you black owned doesn't mean that you're going to be excused from a Diva Wan's critique if need be. So y'all know I've been, it's routine. Crowns is one of my frequent places that I go to dash all the time. It's that Chipotle, McDonald's, honey. Y'all seen it? You name it, honey. I've been everywhere at this point. So Crowns, I'm in there for like the upteenth time. I can't tell you how many times I done been to Crowns for a DoorDash. Sometimes I'm waiting. Sometimes they have my stuff in a timely manner. This was the day that I was waiting. And honey, you know it was darn gone bad. The manager was back there. This is the first time I have seen the actual owner of the establishment. Every other time I've never seen him at the place. But this time he was actually back there cooking and whatever. And the woman who was getting service, the customer line, she voiced a complaint about she wanted the refund. I was like, oh shoot, what's gonna happen? Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Woo! Honey, but I said, honey, thank goodness I'm just coming here for the customer, honey. I ain't even getting no food for myself, honey. I'm waiting on my customers' order to be prepared. I'm sitting down and she voiced a complaint about the guy back there ain't wearing no mask. This, that, and third. She don't even know that the guy that in question is actually the owner of said establishment. Actually, the owner of said franchise because he owns. Well, the one in Spring Lake closed down and he still owns the one on Rams. I never stepped foot in the one on Ramsey Street. I might need to go up in there just for the fun of it to see how that one is because I never see no cars on there. Y'all know, anybody who's been watching my Dash videos, Ramsey Street is my area. Every now and again, I go over to Skybow, but Ramsey Street is my safe pocket because it's within 10 minutes from the house. And I go to Nico's. Y'all see me go to the Ramsey Square. And I'm always going to Little China, Mikasitas, Shogun, uh, Papa John's, Chipotle, like all the businesses on Ramsey I frequent from the bottom end of Ramsey Street all the way into like going into towards Littleton. I go to the McDonald's up there for customers and stuff as well. And I've never been to the Crown's Fried Chicken on Ramsey Street for whatever reason. I don't know why I don't never get a dash order from and because once again they got it where they send me to the Merc, but I always wonder why I never get one for the. But once again, it always looks empty. That's a bad sign, honey. But I'm going to go in there and be nosy, honey. Maybe I should wait till I get the dash. Yeah, I'm going to wait till I get the dash cam. And that way y'all can see what I see. Honey, but I wish y'all could have seen what she was overlooking. She talking about, she wanted a refund because he wasn't wearing a mask. And that, she works in the restaurant business and, she knows the protocol, which, she's correct on that technically we do theoretically. That's iffy because I've heard some people say you really don't have to wear a mask and then some say you do. They change it regularly. I no longer work within the restaurant industry. Y'all know I used to work for Chick-fil-A and they forced us to have the mask on, but once again, it's like 5 or 6 of us back there and we're all closely packed together versus it was him by himself. And So she said she didn't feel comfortable because of the fact that he could have possibly put the coronavirus on the food. Now, let me go ahead and debunk that and say that a virus can only survive on a living host, which means that the virus cannot be transmitted by it being on your darn on hot, steamy darn on fries or chicken, especially if that chicken is fresh out the grease, which we about to get into in a moment about the error that I seen that she didn't see. Honey, if that darn on chicken is fresh out the grease at 160 some degrees, honey, the virus is not even going to be able to even be on there for no more than a couple seconds at best. So by the time it even touches your hand, the virus already dead. So, honey, you should not have been worried about the coronavirus being on your chicken and darn going macaroni and all of that. Honey, you should have been worried about the fact that his hot funky breath was on the darn on food in general. I would have been more deterred about the fact that your little saliva droplets in general could have been on my chicken as opposed to the corona, honey. Because once again, but then again, y'all know science was my thing in school. I was studying to be a licensed veterinarian. My minors was going to be in marine biology, chemistry, and history with a concentration in African and minority studies. So as a science nerd, I was not, even thinking about the coronavirus in that regard. I was like, the virus cannot live off of it cannot live indefinitely in the air. This, that, and the third. It has to survive off of a living host. So I was like, the chicken is dead. The chicken is darn gone greased and hot, 160 some plus degrees, honey. So that's what you should not have been worried about. Hairnet, face guard, beard guard. He don't have no hair. He's clean shaven, no hair. In this case, this is the only time where somebody in the kitchen does not need a hairnet. If you are completely bald, and I ain't talking about no short Grace Jones like cut. I ain't talking about a Jada Pinkett Smith type. I'm talking about like pitch bald. You don't need no hairnet because there's no hair for it to cover. So those wasn't any issues that I was perturbed. But she got her refund and went on out the door. But see, this is where you should be careful what you say. You darn gonna rolling your eyes and talking smack when you darn gonna when she went out the door. And it's like, honey, I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still. And then there was one other customer. So it's like, well, that's not professionalism for you to still see two other customers. Because I don't even think he knew that I was DoorDash. So it's like you got two other customers who see you acting in the doggone food. And I know that you the owner. Now, the other two people don't know that you're the owner, but I know that you're the owner. So it's really disrespectful for the owner to be doggone acting immature, doggone rolling your eyes, and doggone talking smack to your doggone fellow worker about, oh, she doing the most and all this, that, and the third. No, she wasn't doing the most. Matter of fact, she wasn't doing enough because what she was paying too much attention to and what she did not notice, and I was like, honey, obviously she wasn't certified, or she don't really know about sanitation and everything, because once again, she talking about she work in the restaurant industry, the one that darn got her money refunded. I was like, well, damn, how the world you overlook what I see? Because I'm seeing him back there. Mind you, it's open where I can see everything that's going on, right? It's taking me about 7 minutes to get my customer's order. So I had plenty of time to see that he is not wearing no gloves. He's darn going, he done went to the back several times to pick up items. Then came back and started handling with food items and going. So now we got cross-contamination because, number one, no gloves. You're not washing your hands. I ain't see you at no point in time that you touched that door several times to go get whatever items that you needed to get back to the food, whether it was extra seasoning or gloves and it. Well, hell, wasn't no gloves because you wasn't wearing no gloves this whole time. I know that for a fact. So it's like the fact that you handling food with no gloves on. And even if you was handling food with gloves on, I would still be irritated because the fact is when you leave your food station and go and, let's say, pick up some extra packages, sauces, or whatever, you supposed to change those gloves out. So even if you had gloves on, you still would have been in the wrong because your behind more likely wouldn't have changed the gloves. But there wasn't no gloves involved in the first place. So you darn going handling food. Now, granted that he had the tongs and stuff. So it's not like he's physically touching said food. But still, it's like you're going from different areas. And then it's like you're the only one back there. So it's like when it comes to this chicken, I know at some point you the one having to roll the chicken in the flour and stuff like that. And now maybe he put on the gloves during that case. I don't know. For what I seen of his hands, he didn't have no flour residue on his hands. So at least we can know that he more likely put on darn gone gloves in that regard. But still, the fact that you went from the back, getting other items and went back to deal with chicken and fries, and there wasn't no washing of the hands, that was a little bit. Another major red flag is immediately picking up chicken out the grease and immediately putting it in the bag, which is going to cause the bag to get greasy. And honey, and then the customer is ingesting all of that grease. Number one, it's already unhealthy as black people for us to be consuming fried products because we're drenching it in so much chicken. We're drenching it in so much grease and stuff and all this, that, and the third. But then when you're not even allowing the grease to drain off, because when I worked at Chipotle, and when we drop the darn on things down, we supposed to lift it up and let it drain. The meat supposed to drain for 10 seconds. It supposed to drain for 10 seconds to go back in the machine, and then we lift it up and put it on the thing to flip into the container. But before we do that, we let it drain for additional 10 seconds. And then we put the darn on the container underneath, and then put it on the holding thing for it to hold at temperature. But then we had to wait 90 seconds before we checked the temperature. That was Chick-fil-A's protocol that they recently enacted, that before we even serviced that chicken, we got to wait a whole minute and a half before we darn gonna tempt it to see that it's holding at least 160 or higher. Now that's not across the board. Now most restaurants usually they check it to see if it's holding temperature right afterwards. But I noticed that there wasn't no temp checks. That's another thing I saw. I said regardless of whether you darn gone waited 90 seconds or didn't, I noticed that as soon as that chicken came up, you was darn gone bagging it. So how do you naturally know whether the chicken was at temperature or not? Now that's the red flag that she should have called out. The fact that you darn gone did not allow the grease to drain. And then you did not temp the chicken. And then you're putting it in the darn gone bag. And then you dibbling and dabbling with everything else. I ain't washed your hands not one time. And then I got the darn going deliver this to my customer. Now, no, it ain't my obligation to darn gonna put her on game to all of that, honey. If she wanted to see what I see, honey, she should have went there herself. But honey, this is the stuff that goes on with some of these establishments, specifically the Crown's Fried Chicken on the Merc, honey. Murchison Road, the 2-6, the dirty, honey. Yes, I'm calling you out because you know you're wrong. Like I said, black owned, I don't give a damn. That does not exempt you from not practicing darn going safety precautions, sanitation. Because my thing is this, if that's just what I've seen within 7 minutes, it's no telling all the other stuff that you're not doing throughout the day. Like, are you properly darn going dropping that grease and darn going cleaning that machine out at night? Are you changing the oil with now me seeing all of that I saw within 7 minutes? That makes me question all the other stuff that I didn't see. Like, is you properly draining the grease out every night? Because at the end of every shift, it should be a cleaning. And trust me, I've been there at midnight. Y'all see me DoorDash for Crowns towards midnight um on the Merc, and the way they be rushing to try to get out of there, honey, it seems like they the type where they do some counter surface cleaning and all this, that, and the third, and then kindly darn gonna put that lid on that darn gonna fryer. I honestly, that's just what they give me. Now I'm speculating at this point. Now I've already told y'all what I saw, but what I'm speculating from what I saw, I can easily assume that if y'all not even doing simple stuff like wearing gloves and darn gonna making the grease drain in a proper manner off the chicken and the fries, I can definitely assume that y'all are not cleaning that darn going machine every day. Y'all are not dropping it throughout the day, so it's not building up and it has that nasty coating on the darn on other fries and chicken that you put in. Just my humble opinion. Also, is there a different darn going one for, because it looked like he was also, now once again, this is just from what I was seeing, but it looked like he was also using the same fryer for the fries that he was with the chicken. Like, those should be two separate darn on machines. You shouldn't have fries and chicken in the same grease because number one, those supposed to be at different temperatures. Maybe you got the button on there where you can gauge it, but it's like, theoretically, you should darn going, and that's probably why y'all so slow. If y'all using one machine for two different items, and you have to constantly, wait for one to come up, because theoretically you can't put both of them down at the same time. And if you have a rush, and that's probably why y'all been having hour-long wait times when y'all deal with holidays such as Christmas, because if you only got one machine and you need multiple items to be deep fried, you can't theoretically put fries down and chicken down at the same time because those are both at different temperatures. Either you got it on the fry temperature, which is too low for the chicken, or you got it at the chicken temperature, which is way too high for the darn fries. So now I got to question that. In addition to, is you cleaning it? And then I'm looking at the decor, and I'm seeing that the wall is starting to come loose. Like the paint is starting to crinkle up, and it's coming loose. It's about to fall down. It's looking dilapidated. And when it's getting to that point, now you got to worry about if somebody's sitting down and a random speck of darn paint chips off and falls on their head. Chemical hazard. So and then I'm looking from where the paint is separating and it's exposing the wall underneath. I'm seeing a little bit of mold. So once again, now we got bacteria. So once again, while old girl was paying attention to all of while she was focusing narrowly on the coronavirus, honey, I was looking at everything else. I'm looking at the mold on the wall, the little mildew mold on the wall, the paint darn gone breaking through to expose the mold and mildew. So now you got water damage. I know it has to be water because how that mold get there? How the mold get on the wall? So now we got to think about you need to be updating the establishment as far as the roof and stuff. Because now with mold, it's not too far off from thinking that, asbestos might be not too far. Because once again, if you're not dealing with the small issues, honey, small issues over time can lead to big issues. So if you're allowing that to be exposed for anybody to look up to the ceiling and see, honey, that means you more likely ain't checked for asbestos. Just my humble opinion. And it's not too far-fetched to assume that it might be some asbestos there because it's an old building. Because I know y'all said, well, Ron, really, asbestos ain't that darn on. Most people don't use no paint or materials that would possibly be a concern for asbestos. But once again, we talking about a building that's been there since like the early 70s, for my guess. So once again, it's not too far to think that, and then, our town is not really up to date with darn on, code enforcement and shit like it should be. So now I got to think about that. You just slap some new paint above the problem, and they're gonna be covering up major issues. But yeah, that was my long list of complaint from the crowns on Murchison Road. So now we got to get into, yeah, this wasn't just a bash on doggone crowns, honey. Now we got to go to Chipotle, honey. Another place that be having me wait now. With Chipotle, at least I'm getting me a coin from Chipotle. With crowns, it's very hit or miss. If it's a $3-4 order, usually it's not taking me no more than a mile. So that's why I take those from crowns, because it's like, okay, I zip up the street and drop off the order en route to go. I got to bypass it anyway, so okay. Chipotle pays me always usually about $8, $9, $10, but it's gonna have me wait a good minute. But yeah, now Chipotle. Now we got to get into the fact that, like I said, hairnet is not required if you don't got no hair. However, if you got darn on hair that can pass your ears, you need to be having a hairnet on. And that's for anybody who is serving, that is dealing with food. Now, the normal exception is usually with cashiers. However, if you are a cashier that works in a place like Chipotle, you need to have a hairnet on. And this is why. Because I noticed that the cashier does not just solely do the cashier work. Now, if you were solely at the cash register and that's it, okay, you fine. Or if you was just dealing with the drinks or whatever, the shakes, like if you're working at McDonald's and the only food that you're dealing with is the food that's packaged up, or if you got to turn around and make a slushie or ice cream or something like that, okay, you don't need a hairnet. However, if you're somebody who is like at a buffet like Golden Corral, well, no, that's not a good example, because usually Golden Corral has a cashier that only does the cashier work. But the way that Chipotle and Panda Express is set up, the cashier can turn around at the same time, be also making the food. And that's what I noticed at both of these establishments. Now, Chipotle, I noticed what's the wrong with them is, honey, none of those people in the front had a hairnet on. And I'm trying to figure out why. Oh, wow, oh, wow. Wow, wow. Wow, wow. Don't you have a hairnet? Honey, I want to do that doggone bop it challenge. Yeah, that everybody doing boom, 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 boom. Get you a damn hairnet on. You know the girl that says no more wire hangers? Honey, I guess there was no more hairnets, but still, there ain't no damn excuse. Because I'm trying to figure out, ain't nobody got no hairnet on? What in the world? I swear, at the Chipotle on Ramsey Street. Yeah, we name dropping over here, honey. If I'm going to call out my black businesses, honey, you now, we can say that his black ass, he only owned 3 franchises, and one of them fell under. And the other one, I don't never see the one nobody at the Ramsey Street one, and that one's still open for whatever reason, honey. And I don't know if they got the DoorDash set up for the one over there, because they always send me to the one on the Merc. But honey, Chipotle, you is a multi-million-dollar franchise. I'm trying to figure out why is your doggone employees, not that it makes it even better for his, because it still ain't no excuse no matter what income bracket, but you damn sure don't got no excuse when you are a multi-million-dollar franchise. Why am I looking at everybody in the front handling food don't got no doggone hairnet on? Now they got a hat, but once again, I'm seeing some hair all underneath the head. Like, if you had a short haircut, some had short hair like the guys, okay, that's fine. Because the hat is theoretically covering everything. But for the women that have this long hair all the way down here, the hat's only covering so much. And you dipping and dabbling it with the avocado spread and the cilantros and the olives and all this. And I'm like, ain't nobody got no damn hairnet on but the people in the back dealing with the meat. And I'm like, no, you supposed to have a damn hairnet on too. Now, the only exception if you are in the front is if you are not dealing with food. But in y'all case, y'all are dealing with food. So why is y'all not having no damn hairnet on either? Oh, that just irritated the hell out of me. In addition to them having me wait damn near 12 minutes for me to get my darn on customer's order the first time. Like I said, they always pushing it with me. They always put, but once again, to their credit, they are naturally very overworked, honey. They are overworked and they are at max capacity. Unlike darn going Crowns. Now Crowns, y'all are I'm like, okay, why is it taking it so long for y'all to make orders for like 4 people? Why? Because I noticed that I've waited at Crowns and it'd be only one other person there. And ain't nobody waiting in their car. It's like, why is it taking so long for y'all to have orders for 20? And then y'all wonder why. And then I was wondering why it took me an hour on Christmas, because it's like they're not even used to darn on handling 4 or 5 people. Let alone 40 some people. They call themselves blasting out whatever email blast or whatever they did to cause everybody to the order for Crowns on Christmas Eve, and had people waiting 1 to 2 hours to get their food. This is ridiculous. Like, invest in your darn place. Get you an extra fryer. See, this is why you never win when you play cheap. And you never win when you're dirty either. I had to remix Nene Leakes shit, honey. But yeah, because I'm noticing it has to be they only using 1 fryer, because why is it that you are darn going having so much trouble even darn going servicing 2 to 3 people? Now Chipotle, honey, they are always at max capacity. I see a dozen plus people in there all working, nobody slacking. So I can give them a little bit of leeway, because I was like, okay, every time I come into Chipotle, there's damn near a line out the door. Thank goodness I don't have to wait in that line. But there's always a long line with Chipotle. They also having people come in with the customer, regulars, people who pre-book, and then you got us dashers. I don't know if they do Uber Eats and Grubhub as well, but I definitely know DoorDash. I always see my fellow dashers there. I always see at least 3 or 4 fellow dashers at the Chipotle on Ramsey. I don't fuck with the one on Skybow. It's like, I've been there 2-3 times and I've always get shitty results from Skybow. Like and it's weird because that's where all the high dollar places and areas and stuff at. But every time I get an order from Chipotle, honey, it's always for like $2-3. Versus the one on Ramsey is always $8 to $9. Which goes to show that sometimes you can't stereotype location, because usually you'll think that with Chipotle being in the area where it's at, that would be more high dollar. That don't always work out that way, and that's a whole nother video for a whole nother day too, where, honey, sometimes I get better tips and shit from a McDonald's order than from a darn on high dollar seafood order, which y'all about to see a complaint video coming up. But this video is going to come out first, even though it's the complaint video I have was made weeks ago. Y'all know I'm weeks behind on my DoorDash. But yeah, that's a whole nother issue within itself. But yeah, to close out with this darn on sanitation, yeah, Chipotle, get it together. Specifically the one on Ramsey Street. Crowns, get it together. Wear your darn on mask when need be. Let the grease drain. And if you need somebody to come up in there and teach you, honey, pay me a darn on cute coin, honey. Don't have to pay me too much. Darn gonna pay me a good $10 an hour. I come up in there a few hours and teach the folks how they supposed to do it, honey. This is how we do it. This is how we do it, honey. Y'all need a whole revamp over there at the Crowns, honey. From that darn dangerous the fact that I got to turn directly on Murchison Road, and it's a regular small turn. Y'all need to cut out that little block right there, and I don't know why is that little patch of grass or whatever. Like, that's unnecessary space. Have somebody come out there, cut that block off, and expand it a little bit. That way it makes it easier for cars to turn in and turn out. Because the way that it's set is like, if somebody's trying to come out and somebody's trying to come in, that's a very dangerous situation. Because once again, it's Murchison Road, and then you got cars behind you. and you're trying to make this turn, and people don't always pay attention to the fact that your darn on turn light is on, that you're obviously ding 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 ding, you're trying to turn into this establishment, somebody will rear in your behind. And then once again it creates the awkwardness, because then don't let somebody be trying to turn in and somebody's coming out, and then as they try to back up to let you in, honey, somebody's already behind them, so now they can't back in. And then you can't back because you're on the highway, so now you got to go down the street, turn back around, then the other two cars come out, and then you got to go back and turn around and try to go back in again. So to avoid that situation right there, just open up that doggone entering space. Like, knock off that little corner block and doggone expand it so one car can easily go in as another car is going out. And make it where, you know, it's not difficult where people is backing up. Like, if all your parking spots are full, it sometimes, depending on where you're at, you got to back directly onto Murchison Road, which once again can be dangerous within itself. Nobody should not have to face that darn on type of situation. If you could just simply expand that little area, that'll prevent that from happening. Also, get the roof together. $100 have somebody come out there about that leak that you got going on that's contributing to the mold. Get a new paint job. Honey, darn gonna learn have somebody take a serve safe class, honey. It's 6 hours, but it's well worth it, honey. And then from there, you should be good. Oh, get you another fryer. Now that's the one that's gonna cost, but honey, this is where business credit comes in. If you're up on your game, you should have some business credit established, and you could get you another fryer and make payments on it. And it's well worth the investment. That way you won't have the long excessive wait times. And then people will feel more comfortable about ordering and not having to wait as long. And then when you do those blasts where you have 20, 30 people in, you can comfortably service those 20, 30 people, because now you have 2 to 3 fryers as opposed to working off of just one. So those are my recommendations for crowns. Chipotle, honey, I don't got no recommendations for them because they know better. Now, Chipotle is a multi-darn-going $1 million franchise versus this man. He darn gone made this off of, I don't know where he got the funding from, but he's no millionaire. He had to work his way up to get these restaurants. And like I said, one done fell through. Another one looks like it's on the brink of closing too, because like I said, I never see nobody there. The Murchison Road one is the only one that I see still holding on. It's not even thriving. It's just barely surviving. But he can turn it around. But that is it, y'all. Y'all tell me what's y'all thoughts. Feel free to leave y'all comments down below. Feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see y'all soon with more videos. Mwah.